WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. All of our intelligent conversations now presented by our friends at Wise Markets. We're going to eat better. We're going to spend less. We're going to be talking wise conversation. We've been having wise conversations with this guy from the very beginning. I call him the inspirer of my new electric company at Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy, our new educational programming here at Baltimore Positive. Bill Cole joins us from Cole Roofing. As always, little vacay for you, right? You stepped out, and you and I are both. It turns out we're getting our vaccines within a day of each other this week. Baseball, draft. Or the Ravens are going to have a Vegas date. The Ravens are going to be playing in Vegas. We're going to find out next week. This is it's spring. It's almost normal, dude. Right?
It's certainly getting there. I question with our intelligent conversation whether inspirer is a word, but
Inspirer.
it's fine either way. We
One
can
who
invent words
inspires.
here.
Inspirer.
Yeah, I think that
I'll be singing some Chicago song to you.
I think that spring, for me at least, has always historically been this like go find trouble, hard to stay focused. Like school was really difficult in the spring. So there's something inside of all of us, I guess, that maybe some more than others that
That
just
wild seed of
yeah, like
May that Ocean City's about to open up, right?
sun's out, yeah, we left and run down to go to opening day or whatever it was. I mean, there were reasons
Play
to avoid
hooky.
life. There were reasons to avoid life, right? And things that you could do now. So, and that's even more true today. I don't know. It's wild. It
I've
was,
been talking to Dennis about like getting the outdoors, and I'm doing this crab cake thing, and I'm really into right now trying to do stuff I've never done that I've talked about doing. Whatever that means. Like, I know I've talked to you about Deep Creek Lake and fly fishing and these taking the B&O Railroad, just stuff that I had talked about doing all these years that I'm going to try to like put into this thing before I go back to flashing my passport and my global, clearance and all that stuff that I want to do later on. But I think everything feels local, right? I mean, like I went up onto John Allen came on, my dear pal, former drummer, now a rock and roll singer with the Stone Horses, and we got to talking about bands and music coming back and like live music coming back, and I went up onto some Ram's Head and people that are booking music. It's all local. It's all people getting in their car, driving down the road. Tommy Conwell played up in Philly last weekend. That the music part of this won't be the Stones first. It's going to be Kirk McEwen's Tom Petty band is what it's going to be. And people are really going to go nuts for that this summer. The live music and outdoor everything this summer, we're going to discover music again. I believe that.
it definitely, like eating outdoors. I mean, that is like, if you ever enjoyed that, like this is the golden era of
I
eating
always hated the
outdoors, right?
flies. Isn't that terrible? And the bees, the bugs.
I think it's nice, for a period of time before the bugs get crazy, and then it's nice on the back end when it's a little bit chilly, but you
So
can
I'm
put a
from
sweater on,
Dundalk,
right?
right? And hey, let's have a cookout. Let's go outside and eat. Man, I'm out there beating flies off my crabs, and like I'm like I'm not. I hate to be a wet blanket on the outdoor parade, but like it was never my jam. Flies
Yeah,
around my burgers and stuff. Never liked that.
I don't know. I think there are some things that will. I'm trying to remember what I was listening to, but they were talking about touch screen ordering. Like it was a change to their whatever they did, and it wasn't like Starbucks, but it was something like that, right? Where oh, we got these kiosks, and you order on the touch screen, and the screens have microbial blah blah blah, so it's safe to touch them. And I was just thinking like that is something that will never go away, right? Like if you have the ability to make something that lots of us touch, antimicrobial or whatever, that's probably going to be a rule. I think that all the people who are investing in outdoor dining areas, they're probably not going to go away. I think that Thames Street in front of like what's the Sagamore, is it Sagamore Hotel, right?
Sure,
Like
Pendry.
right. That should not be driven on. Like if you just had your
Well, if you
choice,
ever put your car on it, it's not meant to be driven on anyway.
right,
But it's
right.
cobblestone,
That
so
should be a
not
like,
even meant to be walked on after a second beer, especially if you're a woman in heels.
no doubt. But like, that if you go, have you been down there in the last year? All the restaurants on the one side pushed out into the road.
Well, Slancha, Patrick Cooper,
Yeah, all that's. I mean,
Patrick
that's a
Russell
really
Cooper's, yeah.
cool change, right? That I think you can embrace keeping. Like, okay, you
If
got,
anybody's been to Europe, it's kind of
yeah.
it truly is the most European place in America, I would say,
I
literally.
can remember 20 years ago going downtown to drink beer on Water Street in the business district. I mean, it wasn't even a thing, right? It was like two bars and a 50-foot alley, and there were 300 people in there. And we were drinking,
Foot
you know,
soakers,
beers the size of, yeah, like, and we were only going there because you got beers this big
$2,
for $1 or whatever. Yeah.
$2.
So, I mean, there
I'm a
was
little older than you.
whatever, but so that has always been a fun, I think, concept. And I don't know. I mean, I think those are sort of some of the good stuff that we get to now post COVID. We can really decide whether we want to keep them or not, right? Like, should they really be like we had to have them because it was the only way we could do stuff. But as we come out of COVID, the question is whether they stick or not.
Well, I had Greg Nally on from Nally Fresh. Anybody knows Greg, tell him I dropped his name, but he was on last year, and he's like, I've been meaning to build a drive-through, and like COVID made him build. Now we're Facebook friends, and I see his drive-through up, and it's like conceptually, when the pandemic began, Baltimore Positive was just an adjunct little thing I was doing to maybe run for mayor. Now it's become it's my pandemic project, right? People come out of the pandemic. Did you write songs? Was there pressure to have creativity? I mean, I've talked to musicians about this, and I've talked to business leaders about this. And how did you use the year? I had Rob Santoni from Wise Markets on. I mean, look at the supermarkets. I mean, the plastic that's up, the to-go market now. Wise has a Wise to go that, I mean, it's 200% up, and that's the whole industry. I've never ordered groceries online. And I guess if I didn't do it in the pandemic, I'm wondering why not. But I've upgraded all of my technology in the last couple of weeks because I feel like there's going to be a new thing. When this is over with, it's really going to demarcate our lives, right? Like I think whenever, and there's not going to be like the hug in town square at the end of the war, right? That's not how this is going to happen. But this time next year, I think the pandemic's going to be rear view mirror, and we're going to be talking about how we rebuild the city and get people back to ball games and normalcy and all that. But to your point, the things that happened during the pandemic, whether it's Baltimore Positive or whether it's eating in the street, whatever that thing that's new is, that the focus over the last year on it and the amount of time we've put on whatever the new thing is, I think it's going to have a pep in his. I know I have a pep in my step about my new thing. And I would think a lot of people that have built whatever their new thing is or a new and improved version of the old thing, I think everybody's kind of like ready to go fly the plane again.
I totally agree. I think that there's lots of pent up energy, and we don't really know where the demand is going to come from, but we know that there's lots of demand out there. I think one of the, just to take your positivity and good, happy energy and kind of throw a dark cloud over top of it. One of the things that has sort of occurred to me in the last couple of days is this concept of governmental control. And like, I'm curious as, like, for the last year, we have been very much trained to be told what you can and can't do almost from a daily to weekly basis, right? Like, we're all in this together, and we need the professionals and the scientists and the government officials to all tell us how to
Right.
behave.
Every time Larry comes out, we're getting new rules, right?
Right. And like, I I hate to say that I'm scared of the fact that, like, once people get power, they're not real big fans of giving that power up, but that worries me. And then I also get worried about the people who, have relied on that information, and when that information stops really funneling out as often, or have they forgotten how to make decisions on their own, right? Like, have they forgotten how to make good decisions and assess the situation to decide whether it's a good choice for their family or a bad choice for their family? I mean, we used to make unconscious health decisions all the time. I'm going to go to this concert. I'm going to be surrounded by tens of thousands of other people. I might get a cold. I might get sick. I might fall down. I might drink too much. I might, like,
Well,
we
here's
just,
a good example. I'll give you an example of this. My wife went to Florida for a month and did her thing with her family. She's vaccinated. She got a cold on Sunday. Was supposed to fly home on Tuesday. Hits me on Sunday night. She's like, I'm feeling sick. Monday, she hits me. She's like, I'm feeling really sick. I'm like, well, you better get a COVID test, right? So she gets a rapid test. She does not have COVID. Okay. So she does not have COVID and she's vaccinated. And she, in any other walk of life, the last 50 years of her life, almost 49 years of her life, she would have gotten on an airplane sick and flown home, right? Like maybe her ears would have exploded. Maybe she would have needed some neosynephrine or, whatever. But she'd be like, I got to get home. You know what I mean? Like, I got a flight, and if I cancel the flight, it's going to cost more. Like in the real world, now they let you move things around. They don't want her on the plane sick, right? Right? I mean, in the old days, come one, come all, sit in, move closer together. We'll squeeze the seats in, no masks, nothing, right? Achoo, Hey, nice to meet you, Bill. Shake my hand, like we're all shaking hands. That's what we do. We shake hands. We're Americans. My wife gets sick. She gets tested. She knows she doesn't have COVID. She's got the sniffles. She's got 14 masks. The flight's an hour and a half, 2 hours. Her ears might have hurt. She's like, I'm sick. I can't fly. So she's in Florida because I don't want to get anybody else sick. And I'm like, man, in the old days, you just would have like snotted up your sleeve, gotten on the plane, and wouldn't have given a damn about you or anybody else, right? And it really, I mean, so this happened this week. My wife's not here right now because she had a little cold in Florida, right? Or whatever we would say, but not COVID. We know that.
right.
Weird, man. It's changed.
So,
It's changed behaviors in ways that we we
yeah.
we can't even. We have to think about and process it.
Right. So let's have fun with that. So let's imagine for a second that it's not your wife, because being your wife, that makes it a little bit more hairy for what you might or might not say moving forward. So let's
What if it's
pretend
you and your wife in Florida on vacation and you got to get home to your kids
I I've
and you
I've
got hotel rooms and rental car? Like she's with her mom and her mom made chicken soup. She's fine. You know what I mean?
right.
She's good.
But I mean, what is the long term or like extenuating consequences of an overly fearful
Society.
society of common cold, sharing?
I'm kind of afraid of the people not getting vaccines, especially with the J&J thing this week. But I'm getting vaccinated, but I, I think there will be a significant from what I gather and from the way people voted in this country and things they still believe, I am gathering that we are not going to be a vaccinated society in the way that we all got polio and like all that in the 70s. We just took our shots. Most of us anyway.
Um, I would, I guess, inherently agree. There would need to be one more significant event that might push the last holdouts over the. I mean, from my perspective, I had the J&J scheduled, right? I would have still taken the J&J today, regardless of the information that was being publicized yesterday. Like 6 people in 7 million, all women, all between the ages of 18 and 48. One died, one is in the hospital, and they don't actually tell you what happened to the other four. I'm assuming they're okay. Like, I heard another report that said something like more people die from aspirin than that. Like
Yeah.
who knows what goes on in the. I mean, do 6 people in 7 million die from some kind of weird reason all the time? I don't know enough to know. All I know is my personal assessment was like, that doesn't sound like a big deal. I would still have taken it. Now they stopped it, so I can't. So I'm switching. I'm getting the Moderna or whatever. Whatever. I don't really care. I don't think I was high at risk either. Right. So if I go today and they tell me I can't have the shot, I'm gonna be like, oh, bummer. I guess I'll reschedule. But I'm not scared. I'm not more scared or less scared by having the shot because I don't think that I was necessarily at risk.
Well, I don't know scientifically what happens when 31% of us don't get it and what happens to them. You know what I mean?
I don't
I'm not
think
a
anything
scientist on
happens.
that, but I haven't really weighed that, but
That's
that's
what
where
I
I
mean.
am
Like,
right now.
I don't really think that it's a big deal because the people that primarily needed to be protected against were all in that 65 to 105 category, right? Like bad outcomes for people under 65 was a very small number. Now, we're all getting vaccinated so that we don't accidentally give it to somebody in that category who didn't get vaccinated and then ends up dying. You know, it's really weird, man. Like where do you like the part that pisses me off about the Johnson and Johnson thing is that here again we're eroding trust in our institutions. Like right now, we have no trust in any of our institutions because of Facebook and all the BS and all the social media and all the fake news and all the crap that we hear. Well, here's another instance where, because no one is really telling you the whole story, or as humans, we're not willing to spend 3 hours to hear the whole story. We just have eroded trust in one of the four, two actually, two of the four vaccines that are out there. You know, you're not allowed to take J&J and AstraZeneca because bad shit might happen. Oops, sorry. I don't know
Yeah,
if we're supposed
it
to do that
happens.
or not.
Well, it did happen.
And and then, but it's okay to take Moderna and Pfizer. And like, if you talk to people, there are people who are smart, doctor, scientist stuff, who are like, I'm only taking the J&J. It's built on science that's been around. It's not experimental. Then you get other people who say, I'm only taking the Moderna or the
Well,
Pfizer
this would be
because
like talking to
no, no,
five
no, no, no.
doctors about, how they would attack my wife's leukemia. I don't know that everyone would have done it the same way, right? Like literally.
Correct.
Bill
Correct.
Cole is here. He is Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. I saw this picture, man, and I don't know why I want to share it, but you said something about technology, and I saw this and I shared this earlier this week. If you get a look at it, I'm going to share it again about like
Yeah, yeah.
how boom boxes, camcorders, old calculators and VHSs and radio and tapes and CDs and cassettes are all like literally in your pocket all in one place. And I got the new phone now. I'm onto the new technology and stuff. I talked to Dennis about cars this week. It really is amazing on the backside of all of this that the vaccine thing, we talk about getting that out in a year, or curing polio back in the day and hearing our grandparents talk about that, or the DPT shots, the booster shots I had when I was a kid that I was always scared of. Um, Technology, I mean, it really is an incredible world. I don't know what else to say. Every time I look down on my app on my phone, I'm thinking, and I set an appointment in a Zoom and you pop up and we get to talk to each other and share it with the world. I think it gets lost on us how far we've come sometimes.
Um, I don't know if it gets lost as much as I get worried that like we literally our brains cannot comprehend that change is occurring at such a pace that it has outpaced our ability to comprehend what's happening. That like things are changing so fast.
When I think logistically that I push a button and it just shows up at my door, right? Anything you want. Like I can't. I have a hard time getting my arm around that concept, whatever it is.
Okay, great example, right? And the human part that is unable to keep up with that is I gotta believe that there are people who, because of that ability, are buying a massive amount of crap that they would have never otherwise bought and are actually probably driving themselves into financial ruin because it is too easy to just click the button and have it show up at their front door.
You used to have to get in the car, go somewhere,
There was
park.
a process in which case, even if I had the idea and I was really excited,
Well,
oh,
this is this is a Robbins concept. Proximity is power, right? Like
I
you have
want to
proximity to everything now, right?
I really want those $150 Nikes, right? I really want those $150 Nikes. You got to get in the car, you got to go to the mall, you got to find them, you got to get your size, you got to try them on, you got to look at them. and then pull the trigger on spending the $150. Anywhere during that period, your brain could have done the decision that says, "What are you, an idiot? You're not buying a $150
Yeah,
pair of
four
Nikes."
other pair of Nikes.
Right? Yes, you just bought a pair last week. You're not buying another pair of now. By the time that decision's made, it's already in a van somewhere, right? Like it's already on its way. And, okay, are you really going to return it? I don't know. I think there's a period of time for that we have to evolve to catch up to all the things that are at our hands now. Social media is a big example of that, right? Oh, look at what I can do here. Look at all this. Oh my gosh, divorce is up, 100% because no one realized 5 years ago that if you let people go reconnect with people they knew in high school, that some
Relationships will be broken.
crazy stuff was going to go down, right? So I I'm with you, and all the pandemic did was accelerate
See,
that.
I take this even further, across the Russian border and say that the ability to infiltrate other people's minds with information, I've watched it, I've witnessed it. It is everything you read about what Russian technology and mind control in the 50s and 60s and control and just to the point you said something about 15 minutes ago in the conversation. We're like, I don't know what to trust. We don't know what to trust. Who do we trust? This doctor, that doctor. That's the whole premise of confusion that flood the market with bull crap, right? Like that's sort of the con man's way of doing things forever. It is amazing the stuff that people believe. I will say that, on a day-to-day basis. I want to move to sports for 1 second before I go with you because we've had Final Fours, we've had Orioles. You and I know each other through sports. I have a lot of relationships that began either in baseball or football with the Orioles or the Ravens or the Terps, right? You were kind of all three, right? Like you came at it honest. You were a listener, you were a sports fan, all that. You and I don't talk sports as much, right? But baseball's back. I've been watching it. The broadcasts are horrible. Ben McDonald's very good at this, by the way. But by and large, and they're 2 weeks into this, no one's going, and the Preakness is around the like these things we talk about brightening our day and having dinner and all that. I don't feel like everybody's talking about going back to a sporting event right now. And maybe I gauged that right in my thought about NST in Baltimore. I don't know when the Ravens, when they put the whole thing on sale at full price, when there are really 71,000 people that are going to do that right now.
So I think that the basketball national championship was such a massive letdown after really great games on Saturday. So I just want to be on the record like that you can't let that happen. I was really excited to sit down and
Happens a
watch that
lot.
game. I was really excited to sit down and watch that game, and it was really a dud. So that sucked.
I was excited to watch UNLV and Duke 30 years ago, but then,
I watched, yeah, yeah, but that was okay. I watched 4 pitches last night. Um,
they
had
played
no
two
idea.
games last night.
Had no idea who the pitcher was. Had no idea who the catcher was. Had no idea who the hitter was. Had no idea who the guy was that was talking, but he seemed pleasant enough.
He's a
Didn't stick
homer. He
around.
cheers for the team while doing play-by-play. First
Didn't
time we've ever
didn't
had that. I mean,
didn't stick
literally,
around.
it's cheesy. It's come on, dude.
Didn't stick around long enough to see whether anybody was there. I'm not, and quite frankly, I'm pretty sure it was in Baltimore, but I can't even swear that it was in
It
Baltimore.
was in Baltimore, but I couldn't tell because I looked in the upper deck, couldn't see people. So yeah,
Um, admittedly, I was out of town, so I'm a little bit off kilter. But the only way I've gone to an Oriole game, like, okay, I will always root for them. I will always love them. I will always defend them. Like I'm a loyal Baltimore guy. But the only way I've gone to an Oriole game for the last 20 years, other than when they made the playoffs, was strictly for social, event purposes, right? Like hang
it
out with
wasn't your
friends.
idea, is
Right.
what you're
Well,
saying.
even if it was my idea, it was strictly to get a bunch of people together, take my family. What it was strictly
It
something to
wasn't.
something to
Hey,
do.
I'm in the mood. Call Ness. Let's go to the game tonight. Zimmerman's pitching.
Right. It
That
wasn't. I
hasn't
can't
happened.
wait to see the baseball. It was never that. Right. Like We get
Oh,
more
and
and more.
that dude, you're speaking to the absolute aorta of their problem. They need people to care, and they have no idea what they're doing. Like it has never been more abundantly clear now that the old man's out of the way that these kids and this TJ Brightman and like they don't know what they're doing. I mean, like when it comes to selling their product, they have no idea how to get people excited about it.
It, it's definitely a compounded problem. Like I think that society as a whole is moving away from baseball, right?
Oh, no
So
doubt.
and then you have bad management or questionable management or inability to brand or market or whatever.
It
It
doesn't even look like fun on TV.
it just
You know what I
makes it
mean?
that
Like
much worse.
and if TV is going to be the thing that makes you want to go, right? It's either TV or the highlight reel. And if you're watching highlights, you care about the game, right? You're watching highlights, you either bet on it or you need the Orioles to beat the Yankees. You know, it wouldn't be because you happen to be from Baltimore and happen upon a baseball highlight and happen to think it says Baltimore, maybe like it would have 40 years ago. So for me, the entryway, the gateway to getting people interested, they've got that wrong. You know what I
They
mean? They
definitely
don't have a new gateway for new people to or even, and this is really the sad part, man. This is like where it gets down and dirty for you and me. And and this goes on in every phone call I have here with every sponsor. Doesn't matter who it is. Pick any of my sponsors, Dennis, any of the people I talk to, Leonard Raskin, people I talk to regularly here on the program. None of you ever think to call me to go to a game or vice versa. And you don't do that with your other buddies that you even like and would go to a ball game with because it's not in your mind and you did it your whole life. And that's the really weird part is the real shame. It's not shame on me for not going or wanting to go. I kind of wanted to go the other night. It was $15 and I'm like, I'm not going up there alone. Yeah, it just I wasn't going to do it and I couldn't find anybody else to do it, right? The weather was good. But the fact that we don't want to do it and the fact that we did at one point means we're sort of recruitable. We know the rules, we know the way there, we know all of that. Now it's up to them to make us it's like a restaurant we used to go to, right? Like we all have a restaurant we used to go to that's still there and you say, "Why don't you go anymore?" I don't know. My friends don't go there. It doesn't show up on my timeline. The person I used to go with doesn't. It's not my life anymore. Whatever it is, they need to figure that out because before anything happens, they need to get you and me back, and they have no idea how to do that. And that's really unfortunate.
it is I did see something in the last 2 weeks or something where some of the food offerings had changed at Camden Yards. Like that usually happens from time to time. Like, is it do we they think that's part of the equation, right? Like if you make it like a foodie stadium, because I don't really think that's the plan, but now my entrepreneurial juices are flowing, and I'm like, okay,
I
let's
don't know
get
what the plan is. And you know
right.
who doesn't know either? The stakeholders. And, and there is no, and when I talk to Moeller, he's like off on la la land. Like, well, I can't even have a conversation with Moeller about this because he is like a 12-year-old boy. He thinks that like Mike Elias runs the organization. Like it's unbelievable. And like they've got him believing that. And they like Mike Elias, he mails the checks. No, he doesn't. He evaluates baseball players. And that has nothing to do with getting me to the ballpark anytime soon. Like this is about the business and the marketing and the bobbleheads and the Star Wars nights. And the last time my wife and I went, I'm not making this up. The last time we went to a game, it was snowing in July out in the garden. And that was supposed to make us the Padres were in town, which is why I was there. And Freddie only gave me free tickets. But
All right.
they sit around and try to come up with ideas. And I guess the
So
best they can do is chicken tinga tacos.
here's my free idea for them
Okay, I love it.
in case they're listening. So I think if you I don't remember what I was watching, but I saw a new version of Visit Baltimore's commercials and all the stuff that Al Hutchinson's been working on for so long, and that was all really good. And I guess he's been able to spin. I haven't talked to him in a long time, so I don't really know the story, but
Well, they're
there's
a
a little
partner with the Orioles. Their logo's been showing up, home
there's a little
plate
bit of
like
a
that.
twist there. There's a little bit of a twist, right? Like same fundamental reasons to come to Baltimore, but hey, you got to talk about it in a COVID way, so you got to make everybody comfortable. Um, there's a strong there are some strong elements that make that Al's survey work, right? And the parties that he had help him do the diagnosis of the city. There are some strong elements that attract people to come to Baltimore. Uh, we have a very unique art scene. We have the elements of a foodie town. There's some urban toughness, right? But really pleasant views and green space, and so there's some unique stuff that Al was able to uncover and really started to build this platform to attract people outside to come. You have the mecca of Camden Yards, right? This what at one point potentially still top five, right? Like just beautiful stadium, really cool concept, well put together, definitely excellently executed on, right? Like to integrate the warehouse and all that stuff. It's really cool. You have the opportunity to integrate the Visit Baltimore concepts into that ballpark, whether it's local artists who are able to put stuff up and hang out on the club level and the suite
By
levels.
the way, that's exactly what my friends at Amici's have done. If you haven't been down to Amici's, I mean, he's got outdoor garden. I mean, we talked about outdoor seating. I want to make a plug for Scott and our friends and Jay and Penny over at Amici's, but they've been putting local art up. I mean, they
Right.
were more sports barish, right, in the beginning.
Sure.
Now it's very artsy, and that's what they think Little Italy's going to be, and I don't disagree.
I don't either. I don't think people. I think it's a really sort of like not intentionally secretive, but to the average like schmo running around town, we don't. If I'm not an artist, I don't understand what's going on. Like it's not even like it's just not the scene I grew up in. I don't have friends out. Like it's just so it's totally unknown to me. But the minute you pull the curtain back a little bit, I think that's pretty damn cool, and I'll support that. Like I'm into
Well,
that.
you don't
Like,
need to be a crabber to appreciate the fact that we have crabs here. You know what I mean? And that we should own what we have, that we're good at, the things that people want to identify with us in some other way other than the wire, right? Literally.
so if you're not going to win baseball games because your baseball is amazing, or even if you did win, does anybody care? Because people aren't really going for the baseball. Then get them there 82 times because you have a cool foodie mini truck thing on Utah Street, or get them there. You know what I mean? Like use the tools that we are co-branding through the region, right? Like Johnny O talks to Al, and Stuart Pittman talks to Al, and all the counties. Like it's a region that we have to promote. It's a region that draws people in, and like I don't know. Like let's have. Are we allowed to have? This is probably not allowed, but it should be allowed. But like, can we have zoo animals like running around the bases one
Well, we,
night? Like,
we
is that
milk
a thing?
cows. I mean, in minor league games, I know that.
Right. I mean, let's use our resources. Like
They
you have
can
to
bring
pick,
turtles from the zoo. You know,
you have
you
to
could do
pick
that.
the whole town up, right? You have to pick the whole town up,
Well, they don't know how to do that.
and you have this one,
They should hire me.
right? They have this one sort of beacon location that currently, only about 7,000 people show up for if they're lucky. So we have plenty of space to do anything we want. I don't know, man. I mean, like that's like diehard baseball people are gonna change the channel if that's what you do with this podcast thing. But you know what I mean? Like they don't want to hear any of this crap. You need to show up for the baseball. Maybe,
When the baseball's worth showing up for, when you can
yeah,
name the
maybe.
players, when you put it on TV.
Right.
Bill Cole is here. He is Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. Tell him that you get on roofs for 102 years now, right? I mean, gosh, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, it says
So
1919 right over your shoulder. I'm looking at it.
yes, yeah. I just don't know how you count it. Like, do you count the first year? Or is it 100 when you're anyway?
For more than 100 years, our
Right.
friends at
That's the
Cole Roofing.
safest. That's the safest answer where no one challenges me because they don't trust anybody anymore. No, so commercial roofer. If you can see the picture, you see the picture. But been taking care of Baltimore and Maryland rooftops for over 100 years, and nothing too small, nothing too big, everything in between. We do like to help explain some of the other options for rooftops, so it's not just unused space. Whether it be we've done lots of vegetated roofs and people can put decks up there and that kind of cool stuff, or we build power plants on top of roofs now.
Sounds like a Drifter song, "Up on the Roof." Yeah, I had to look that one up. I'm like, man, you're like you. I never heard you say "up on the rooftop." Maybe think about singing. You know.
So can I get like a wrestling style intro song when we start these segments from now on? And like you play like up on the rooftop? Is that where you're going with that? Did I get
No,
that?
I mean it's a
Oh,
good idea though. I mean,
all right.
even though it wasn't my idea, but it's a good
Theme
idea.
song would be cool. I like that. Anyway, yeah, solar on parking lots, in the fields, on the roofs. We are very much helping the local region and the country adopt solar, in an economically productive way, right? Like it.
I turned my heat off when my wife left a month ago, and I haven't turned it on or off. And it's been like 68 degrees, 71 degrees. My cat's happy. I'm happy. I sneeze when the windows are open, but it's all good, Like so, I have been using less energy here the last. But I'm saving my energy for the summer.
I get it. It For most people, they are generally surprised at how rewarding of a project it can be, but it is a capital investment. I mean, to invest in solar, it does take some time and attention span and education to understand the process, but it can be very lucrative and rewarding for the
There
people
you
that
go.
do.
Save money in the long run, baby. Right?
Yeah,
Sounds
man.
like an Eagles song in the long run. Bill Cole's here from Cole Roofing and Gordian Energy. He's been our friend for a number of years. You can find him at Cole Roofing, and you can find him on the front of Baltimore Positive as well. I hope that we get together again soon. I'm hard back at work here, getting ready for Preakness, getting ready for summertime, getting ready for the draft with the Ravens. We're gonna have road trips. Are you of the mindset of like a road trip anytime? Yeah, are you into that or are you not?
I'm fairly certain I've already committed to go to Vegas when the Ravens go. Like
Okay.
I don't think I can not do that, although I might be able to figure my way out of that one. But like if the world has their way, I'm gonna travel every 2 weeks from the start of June till the end of the year, right? Because there's all this pent up demand and all these conferences and all these trips, and my wife wants to go everywhere, and my kids
I
want to go
haven't
everywhere.
felt
And
that way, strangely enough, and I love to travel, but I haven't. I mean, I feel like I want to do something, but it doesn't have to happen tomorrow. I mean, I've been very patient. I mean, I was a very impatient person as a young person. You know that about me, right? People would think that about me in my 20s. I've been like laying low on this whole thing and just trying to breathe and be yogic through it and feel like at some point, like when you and I are together in Vegas having that beer, when at Friday night before the games, whatever we do, we'll run into each other. We might be on the plane together, right? Whenever we're doing that, we'll look at each other and say, "See, it all worked out. It's all cool. It just was a little bump in life."
yeah, I'm trying to ease back into things, like I get the shot today, whatever, and I guess you're supposed to wait a couple weeks,
Drink
but
water, hydrate.
yeah, that is what everyone says.
Absolutely.
So I think it's good, man. I think morning coffees and walks and lunches and all that kind of stuff. I think they're right around the corner. So
Summer is here. Go get your roof checked out by my friend Bill Cole, Cole Roofing. And hey, man, I'll see you next week. All right, hang in
yep,
there.
appreciate you, brother.
Baseball ahead. Lots of great conversations around here. We chatted with Republican National Committee Chairman, former Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Steele last week. Also, lots of great guests. We had Ron Cassie on last week talking baseball, and we never got around to talking politics. We're going to do that this week as well. You can find all of it at Baltimore Positive and WNST.net, where we never stop talking good stuff in Baltimore.